And we're good. So go ahead and take a deep breath. Sit back and relax. Give to yourself. You can ground your body. And just make that energy connection from the base of your spine to the very center of the earth. Just anchor in. And as you ground, just take a couple of deep breaths and let the day go. It was a busy day, wasn't it? Yeah. Just let the day go. And let yourself just be right here tonight. You've got an hour just to give to yourself and have a little fun. And one of the things that's interesting, I'll share a bunch of stories with you tonight. I was visiting a girlfriend of mine who I dearly like. And it was like 98, just kind of this kind of weather. And she had on really kind of tight jeans and a medium length shirt. And I said, "Aren't you hot?" And she goes, "I'm dying." I said, "Well, why don't you put shorts on?" She said, "You couldn't catch me dead in shorts because my thighs are too big." And I just started laughing, and I'm like, who cares? It's you and me. We're not going anywhere. Why, how come you can't let yourself wear shorts? She said, "I've never worn them in my whole life because I was told my thighs were too big." And I went, isn't that interesting how we get stuck in body pictures, our pictures of concepts of where, what is right, what is supposed to be right for us. And who cares what her thighs look like? It's 98 degrees. She should be able to, cool off and enjoy herself. So I'm laughing at how easily we get programmed or we buy into different concepts. And hey, it happens to all of us to some degree or another. We dress sometimes to please someone, or we eat to please someone, our parents or the American Medical Association. It's really interesting how as bodies, we can tend to give up our seniority to somebody else. Oh, they know the truth, not us. So tonight we're going to kind of work on that and see if we can't get in present time and not be stuck in some of those old pictures. I brought a picture myself because, see if you can see that. This is me about 9 or 10 years old. And my dad said to me, "Honey, fat girls shouldn't be dancers." And one, I find that interesting because I don't see any fat on that little girl. And it's great exercise. So why wouldn't you want your kid to dance? But I keep that up as a way of keeping my amusement about everybody's picture about how you should be. And so we all have our own concepts that we have to work through to get to where we are. And so tonight we're going to have fun, what I would call blowing pictures, letting go of those old concepts so that you can find a freedom to be who you are and how you are and just express yourself. So put your seatbelts on. We're going for an adventure. And the first thing I want you to do is we're going to get curious. And I invite you to do this from a space of, no judgment, just having fun, being having a discovery about yourself. And I want you to look and see, how do you see yourself? And we're going to look at two areas, the body and the spirit. So look at your body. And how do you experience your body, yourself? Pick a color that represents your body. And then, how do you see yourself as a spirit? What color is your spirit? Just make it up. And which one do you have more affinity for? Do you like yourself better as a body, as a spirit, or is it equal? We're not going to share these. This is just your truth, what you discover. And look at how much do you love your body? How much do you love your spirit? And again, is it equal? Is one bigger than the other? Just getting curious. And you can look at anything that gets in the way. The amazing thing is, after I've done this work like 41 years. And trust me, after reading all those people for all those years, you really start to see some great patterns. And it's interesting because each of us spent a lot of time handpicking the bodies we have now. You genetically picked the best body for what you came to accomplish this lifetime. And I told some of you before, I have part French, German, and Irish. And all my siblings are tall and thin with coal black hair and freckles and bright blue eyes. And I am short and round. I've got that little French Slavic body, German, just, little tiny and round, peasant stock. But boy, this is the strongest body in the world. I would not trade it. And my siblings, they're very healthy, but they tend to get sick more often. I rarely ever get sick. So it's just interesting. I picked this little sturdy model it's like a little tank. It just goes through energy, lickety split. And so you pick the very best model for what you're gonna engineer this lifetime. And there is no right or wrong. I guarantee you, if you died tonight, you would not care how much you weighed. You wouldn't care how tall you were. You wouldn't care if, you were 5 pounds overweight. You think about the people that are losing sleep over that, and I'm like, oh my Lord. It's so funny how we can get pulled into somebody else's concepts. So what we're going to do tonight is kind of have fun cleaning all this out so that you can really enjoy your body. This is the very best model, and you have it. You got to have it. Out of all the bodies on the whole planet, you picked the one that was going to be best for you. And I would hope to goodness you start to love that body just the way it is, because it's just a little miracle. So first of all, say hello to that body and just give it a little pat, give it an I love you, hey, a gold star. Woohoo! And it's fun. Sometimes we look at somebody else and we think, oh, if I had that body, then I could do anything. And it's so not true. The person who's got that body's got their own concepts they're working on. So it's kind of fun. If you can give yourself a little amusement, we can start to play with some of these concepts that we get pulled into. So some of our life experience is measured by how old of a soul we are. And some of the models, I had a good friend who was a model, Lori, and she ate lettuce. That is what she lived on because she had to maintain that pencil thin body. She couldn't put any weight on. And for years, she craved cheeseburgers, but she ate lettuce. And again, you look at that concept and you go, what is wrong with this picture? But in her mind, in order to be that perfect body, that was what she was willing to do in order to play a certain game. And hey, no judgment. If that's what rocks your boat, go for it. You can have a ton of lettuce. It isn't going to nourish that body, but That's okay. You'll be thin. And those are more the younger souls. They want everything perfect. Middle-aged souls are kind of a medium mixture. They're the ones that are more into the, watching more, having more of a balance, uh, diet-wise and life experience-wise. And old souls, they just don't care. They're just like, manana, whatever. They know how to listen to their body, and they're really fun to go grocery shopping with. I think I told you my dad was a doctor, and he was out visiting me one time, and we were going grocery shopping, and I picked up a red bell pepper, and he said, "Oh, you can't buy that." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "It's $2.79 a pound. I can't afford it." And I was buying it for my dog because my dog loves red pepper. And I'm like, well, I'm buying it in the basket. But again, interesting concept. What can you afford and what can you not afford? And hey, he grew up with his parents in the Great Depression, and they didn't have anything, and that was the programming. Boy, you made do with everything you had, and I totally get that level of survival. But he could never get out of that as an adult. So it was interesting having that experience. And another friend who's Darby Lee, who I just adore, she was like 6 foot tall, and she was probably 250 pounds, very heavy woman. And she'd look in the mirror and she'd say, "You're gorgeous." And she had the best clothes in the world, and she was just, and she walked with pride and, did everything, and everybody loved her. They just thought she was beautiful, and she didn't care if she was overweight. She loved who she was, and it really showed. So it's interesting how people fit in different degrees depending on their comfort with themselves. And if you think about it, what would keep us from loving ourselves? It's kind of a funny concept. So that's what we're going to play with tonight, is, again, getting rid of some of these concepts. So take a deep breath and put a big soap bubble out in front of you, like the size of a basketball. And put any images in there that you've picked up during your life. Any concepts that say you have to look a certain way. You have to eat a certain way. Anybody ever feel guilty about anything? If you ate something or you were 2 pounds overweight, oh man, you are going to laugh about that when you die. You're going to go, "Oh my God, really? I was concerned." So put all that in that bubble. Start now. You don't even have to die. It's great. And start to just create and destroy bubbles like that. Just fill them up and pop them. Fill them up and pop them. This is the spirit part of you working to help the body have more awareness and more comfort. And again, create and destroy, just making a bubble, filling it, popping it. Making a bubble, filling it, popping it. And breathe. Let yourself have a good time popping those concepts, because they really don't serve you. And we're going to trade them in for something different. So as you let go of energy, it creates like a little void in the aura. And so you want to think about, what would you like to have instead? And create a huge gold sun above your head. Sit it right on the top of your crown. How would you like to feel in that body? every day, what would be your top 3 things that you'd like to feel? And as you put that in that gold sun, put that energy in there and pop it, bring it into the body. Notice how the body reacts. How does the body feel with that new vibration? As you get in more and more affinity with the body really feels that encouragement. It's kind of like if you have a best friend or a lover, your partner, you treat them pretty nice. And sometimes we have to learn how to treat ourselves just as nice. So really giving to yourself, nurturing yourself. And it's fun to play this game with yourself, like taking your body shopping and saying, okay, what do you need? And it might say asparagus, strawberries, and yellow peppers. And it's like, okay, how can I build that in my givingness to my body? And so when you begin to listen, then it's not hard to find what feels right to eat. And sometimes we eat to feed the body. Sometimes we eat to feed the mind. And sometimes we eat to feed the emotions. So it's kind of interesting. See if you can think of one thing that you like to eat for your body. And what's one thing you like to eat for your mind? Where your mind says, oh, you gotta eat this. And what do you eat when you're in an emotional space? It doesn't have to be a crisis, but it can be an emotional good day or bad day. What is nurturing to you emotionally? And how much permission do you have to have those things? Again, just you can drain any energy out of any judgment that says, hey, it's wrong, whatever it is. And look at some of your concepts about food and how you look and see, where did you get them? When I showed you that little picture of me as a child, I think I was about 8 or 9. 1961. I was 9. So that is where I got my first fat picture. I never saw myself as fat until my dad said that to me. So that would be my start of all of a sudden eating for someone else or judging what I did. So look and see, what age were you when you started to look at having to please someone instead of just being you? And it doesn't have to just be food. There's so many concepts that were thrown at us growing up. Who or how we're supposed to be. And just notice, are you under 12? Are you an adolescent? And what pain pictures, or what I'm going to call them, light up? Were you lonely? Were you in fear? Was there a non-acceptance of yourself? Just look at that time that it started, roughly. And then imagine that little kid in front of you and ground out that energy. You can just imagine that little kid and put a grounding cord on them, just like you use. And just say, hey, I grew up. I see the difference. I'm going to go back and heal that part of myself. And just ground that part of you. That's just making that energy connection from the base of your spine to the center of the earth. It's like draining out any negative feedback about who you're supposed to be, what kind of career you're supposed to have, how you present yourself, what you eat. It's all in there. And drain it out and decide, what do you want to tell that kid or that teen? If you could go back and find that part of yourself, what would you tell that part of yourself? I would find myself and say, hey, keep dancing. You're amazing. It's going to come in handy. Find what you need to hear, what message you could have received that would have helped you. And then look in present time. As you heal that little one, now kind of fast forward to where you are now. And notice, what message are you still giving your body? There's always something that we want to shift. You should be taller, thinner, fatter. Your hands are too big. You have too big of feet. Your hair's too thick. It's too thin. It's so funny, the things we come up with. I thought the tip of my nose that you could land a helicopter on. Don't ask me why, I have no clue. But I was convinced it was a helicopter landing pad. So it's kind of funny. In present time, what do you still have any messages about? And see any concept that doesn't fit you anymore. And again, remember those bubbles we created? You can make them the size of basketballs and just start to put any of those old concepts in there and anything that still comes up for you now. Anyone you're trying to please by your career, your body, the work you do, what you love. Just put all that in those bubbles and pop it. And start to move out energy that doesn't serve you. Just letting go of anything that keeps you from loving yourself as you are right now. And if there's a particular voice that comes up that might belong to mom or dad or a friend or a partner, just give yourself space to clean that out. And again, ask yourself, what would you like to fill it in with? What is your truth? And I think it's really good to listen and really ask yourself, is that my truth? If it is, it might be an area you want to work on, but I wouldn't judge myself for it. And you can imagine just, like a chalkboard or a whiteboard, just wiping all those pictures or concepts clean, taking them out, and really starting to make your body your best friend. It's like, oh, I'm really proud of you. You have such confidence. You have such shyness, whatever it is. All of us are moving towards our goal of where we're going. Some days we do it really well, and other days, 2 steps forward, 18 steps back. That's okay. It's part of being who you are. It'd be kind of boring if we were perfect, wouldn't it? Like, if you're going to make mistakes, make grand ones. Hey, you learn so much more. So really giving yourself more room in your body to really like yourself, to really like what you're trying to do this lifetime. Give yourself that love and communication and acceptance that you want. Sometimes we have to start by being our own cheerleader. And if you have a really good close friend that you really trust, that is really a pretty neutral person, you can say, hey, is there anything you see me that I need to work on? And that's kind of fun to do too. But do it from amusement, not from critical energy. I happen to believe there's an energy bigger than all of us, the source, I'll call it. And if the source didn't want you to enjoy this life, he wouldn't have made a lot of the things he made for us. Food being one, the kind of things you're attracted to, where you, for myself, it was psychic awareness. I found that fascinating. There was no way I was not going to be who I am today. Everything in me drove me to want to know more about spirit. And that came from my mom dying as a young child, and that awareness, all of us kids seeing spirit, and that quest. What is that about? How do I learn more about that? So each of us have been propelled by the spirit part of us in search of what we were interested in. Healing, meditation. Not everybody's interested in it, but this group certainly has been. So, hey, there's that divine part of you that you cannot ignore that moves you in that direction, and really validating yourself for it. Somebody else is going to get moved in a whole different direction. But really validating what you picked this lifetime, what your interests are, and what do you learn from them? What are you learning by being a healer? Being a healer doesn't mean we're always going to fix someone. Many times it's just we're going to walk beside them on the path and recognize, yep, I've been there too. It sucks when you're in the middle of it, but we all change, we all grow. So really looking at some of the things that you've chosen and getting curious instead of judgmental. Oh, what did I want to learn about that particular thing? Who am I trying to live my life for? What do I really want? How do I figure that out? And this is the fun part, because you get to go on this quest to really find yourself and what feels right to you. And just take a deep breath and put another huge bubble out in front of you for any invalidation. Anytime someone said you were doing it wrong or you were picking the wrong path. Anybody else's expectations of you, who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to do it. Let them go into that big bubble and pop it. And just let go of that energy, just release it. And most of the time when I look around at these kinds of things, whoever was saying that, most of the time had your own interest at heart from their view. Now they aren't you. They can't live your life. Rarely are people out to get you and they're going to program you that way. I'm sure it happens, but for the most part, just let their energy go. Whoever that was in your life, mom, dad, a grandparent, a teacher, whoever you were trying to live your life for, just put them in the bubble too. And pop it, send their energy back to them in neutral. They get a little healing, you get an even bigger healing because you're releasing energy that doesn't serve you. Excellent. Are we having fun yet? We're getting there? Good. Okay. And as you release, again, bring in that gold sun energy and really give yourself permission to have a healthy, happy body and have great communication with it. Because the more you talk to the body, the more it really responds back. And it'll let you know exactly what it needs. And as you listen, it gets to be a lot more fun. You're a team. As you bring that in, also ask your spirit, what does it need? Spirits need different things. Sometimes they need quiet time. They might need meditation. They might need a walk in the woods just away from everybody. Different bodies like different things. I'm more of a swimmer than I am a walker. Not right or wrong. I'm part mermaid. So it's like really asking your body, what feels good to you? Bringing your spirit awareness to it and letting yourself have your own answers, not having to live according to somebody else's. And then again, look around your universe, that aura, and see if there's one other thing you can find where you're critical of yourself, your career, your partner, what you eat, whatever it is. What are you unhappy with? Find one thing and ask yourself as a soul, what are you learning by having this experience? What are you trying to figure out? Is this a karmic relationship? Is your workspace about karma? Is there energy? Some people are sugar addicts. And it's really interesting. One of the things I love is as you become more and more spiritual, your body changes in what it needs to eat. Much as I talk about chocolate, I think I'm actually allergic to sugar. I'm more of a protein baby. And my sugar level is more strawberries because it really serves my body. I'll eat a little chocolate here and there. I love it. But for the most part, sugar takes us out of the body and protein brings us in. So it's interesting. The times that we crave sugar is when we are trying to get out of the body. And usually we're in some kind of pain. So same, if you're in a job that you hate, what is that energy that you're trying to get through that makes it hard to go to that job? You hit resistance. And just get curious. What are you trying to heal? And bring your spirit awareness to that situation. What could you do differently that might give you a little bit more peace? Because we all have so many choices. Sometimes it's hard to see them. But if you step back and make yourself list like at least 7, then you have to get out of the 1 or 2 you're stuck on. So really looking at it from a level of curiosity. What are you trying to figure out this lifetime? And what would make it easier? One, if you just bring a little bit of amusement, even if it's not funny, to that situation, it lets you take a next step. Where if you get really serious, then you tend to hold on to something and it's hard to move through it. Take a deep breath. And again, if there's any of those pictures that have been coming up, make that big bubble, put them in there and pop it. Woohoo! Great night for letting go. Why take it with you? And ask yourself, what do you want to trade it for? Instead of being in resistance, what would happen if you really loved your life? You woke up every day and said, okay, here I am. What are we going to do today? Who am I going to meet today? What situations do I get to puzzle through? But with enthusiasm. As long as you're here, you might as well have a good time. I say cause a little trouble. You don't want to be bored. So take that big deep breath and give yourself permission to start to really like this life, to live it to the fullest. No matter how old you are or how young you are, giving yourself that permission to really be the you want to be. And if you hear that little voice in your head saying, oh, but you should do blah, 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 again, identify who it is, thank them very much. Hey, I appreciate your input, and then go do what you want to do. And then we're going to do a little bit of a healing. So this might be a stretch for some of you, but what the heck, play along. Just imagine you could reach in and take out one little tiny cell of the body, just one little cell, and put it in front of you. And again, give it a little grounding cord and ground out of that cell any energy that says life has to be hard, that you have to suffer, that you only can have your joy when you do X, Y, or Z. Just ground out any of that heavy energy. And fill that little cell with your own gold energy. And let that energy really restore this cell, filling it with love and permission. You came in that way, you can give it back to yourself. Just bringing that vibration up. Let yourself know you can have a great time this lifetime. And then take that little cell that's healed, and you're going to put it right in the back of your head, right at that occipital ridge, back of the neck, where the head and the neck come together. Just imagine putting it in there. And just let it update all the cells in the body to this new vibration on a timetable the body can handle. It could take a week, a month, a year, doesn't matter. But just letting all the other cells start to match that new vibration. Letting them have this communication of permission and love and really loving who you are. And giving yourself permission to really enjoy this life, what you came to do. We didn't all come to do the same thing. And you know, some people, it's like in this virus, some people are going to be on the doctors and nurses. Some people are going to help with food. Some people are going to help with money. And this particular group can really help with healing. And not everybody can do that. And sometimes you think, oh, if I just give the world a little healing, is that enough? You betcha. Because not everybody knows how to do that. So really validating the part you came to play, because we need all parts. We really do. So let's do the same thing we just did for ourselves. Let's imagine taking a little cell of the earth and all the people in it and just grounding out all this strife, the inequality, the poverty, all the suffering. And just imagine surrounding the earth with permission and love, with the ability to grow and change, and to be the best earth that it could be. Giving everybody the same permission to really love themselves. And just holding that vibration for the earth. And all the people's honor. Hey, we're all in it together. I like to imagine, just like Christmas lights, how each little bulb is strung with a wire between. I just imagine us all holding hands around the globe and all of us glowing. And we're all a variety of colors, shapes. It's great. And just holding each other, finding that connection. Taking a deep breath, and then bringing a gold sun full of that love and just washing it through the earth. letting the earth find her own vibration. Giving her permission and joy to grow. Excellent. And take a deep breath one more time. One last gold sun. And you have homework. I want you to think of 3 things you can do that you totally love this week. Find one of your favorite things to eat and eat it. One of your favorite activities to do and do it. And maybe a favorite person to talk to. And just practice having fun. You might grow attached to it. Just might be a great experience. All right, no guilt. You know what guilt is for? If you meant to do something that caused harm and you did it, then you could be guilty. But guilt is a waste of energy. Otherwise, if you make a mistake or you choose something, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to choose again. So learn to release guilt and to really stand in the moment and listen